Okay, so LinkedIn messaging question number 2 is, how do I get people to respond to me? So once again, this was submitted via a form and they didn't leave their contact information. So I have no idea who actually submitted this, but it's a great question nonetheless. So I thought I would respond to this. So I think what you need to realize is that not everyone's going to respond to any message that you put out on LinkedIn. Um, One of the ways you can get them to respond is to, ask them to respond in the message. But the problem is that the messages on LinkedIn, just like in your email box, they start getting pushed down as new ones come on. And so a couple of things. One, not everyone's active on LinkedIn, so they don't necessarily jump on LinkedIn and they don't check their messages on a consistent basis. They may jump on once a week, once a month, whatever it is, or sporadically. So they don't get to see it, so they won't respond to it. Now, that said, though, when you send a message through LinkedIn, if you have an email address that's connected to your account, it will send it through to your email. But there again, same thing, you get emails coming in, it gets buried down. Now, the one thing I would do is, if you have a specific question, is to take it off LinkedIn and put it into email, because my suspicion on this is that email messages get answered more than LinkedIn messages get answered. But that said, I'm going to show you a nifty little hack that you can use to see if people are going to read your message. So for example, I tell people all the time, try to take the messaging off LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn messaging every once in a while, but I really don't like it. I keep calling it a hot mess. It's not user friendly, and it's just not good. I don't like it. But anyways, one of the things you do when you go into someone's profile, you can click their contact information and they'll have their email address in there. So in this case, there's my email address sitting under my profile, just to give you an example of where to find it. Now, that said, what you could do is use something like Contactually. So I've referenced Contactually 3 or 4 times in this whole presentation or this whole course, just because I think it's such a phenomenal program for keeping in touch with your LinkedIn contacts and connections in general. So now what you can do is you take that email message, put a contact in Contactually, and then send a message off to them. Now, the interesting thing about Contactually is down at the bottom, I can track, did they open this message? If I have a hyperlink in there, I can track, did they click on that message? And the last thing I can track is if they did not respond, or if they haven't opened this message, in X amount of days, make sure that I'm aware that this is the case and notify me that this person didn't respond or didn't do anything in that time frame. And you could set those time frames as default to 7 days, but you can set it for a day, 2 weeks, whatever you want. So that is a phenomenal way to see if people are taking a look at your messages and are willing to respond. Now, in this case, obviously, you can see if they opened it, great. If they clicked on the link, great. But they haven't gotten back to you, you know what? You've got that insight. So you can get back to them. And I wouldn't go back to them and say, hey, by the way, I see you opened my email. I see you clicked on that link. I would just get back to them and say, hey, I sent you some info X amount of days ago. Just wondering, is this something that might be of interest to you? Is this something, just build that conversation out without letting them know that you can actually see that what actions they're taking with your email. So this works really well. That's one of the reasons why I love using Contactually, is for little things like this.